So imagine this scenario. You're in the biggest match of your career, thousands of people are watching, your team is counting on you, and you're one play away from the title. But here's the thing, in that moment, your brain isn't thinking about winning, it's thinking about not losing. It's replaying that one mistake you made last week. It's cycling through all the ways you could possibly fail. And the irony? That's exactly when you will fail. This is what happens inside the mind of an elite esports player dealing with perfectionism and performance anxiety. And if you're competing in anything, esports, content creation, fitness, business, because we're going to break down what's actually happening in your brain, why perfectionism is destroying your performance, and most importantly, how to fix it. I want to start with a real story. This is Lee Sang-hyuk. You probably know him as Faker, 4-time world champion, the undisputed greatest League of Legends player of all time. But here's what most people don't see. In 2018, Faker had a year that he described as full of mental pains. This guy has the best coaching, elite training facilities, and a world-class organization behind him, and he still struggled with severe anxiety. He said something profound about how he handles pressure. I'm not a person that shares my concerns with others. I try to find the answer alone. Even if I feel negative emotions, I don't reveal my feelings. I simply alleviate it by myself. Sound familiar? That's the perfectionistic mindset, and it's an epidemic in esports, and in any competitive field where your performance is public. The core belief is, if I show struggle, if I admit I'm not perfect, then I'm not worthy. So you internalize everything, you suffer alone, and the suffering gets worse. Here's what's happening neurologically. When you're in a high-stakes moment, your brain's threat detection system, the amygdala, activates. It releases cortisol and adrenaline to sharpen your focus. That's good. That's a competitive edge. But for a perfectionist, something different happens. Your brain doesn't just activate the threat response, it hyperactivates it. Your amygdala takes over. It suppresses your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for clear decision-making, strategy, and staying calm. So in the exact moment you need to think most clearly, your brain chemistry is literally preventing you from doing so. It's a biological shutdown, and you can't just think positive to fix it. It's not a thinking problem. It's a nervous system problem. This creates a brutal downward spiral. Studies show between 70 and 85% of esports players report significant sleep disturbance. Chronic sleep deprivation makes your threat response system even more sensitive. So the anxious player doesn't sleep well, which makes them more anxious, which makes them sleep even worse. The result? 45% of esports players report moderate to severe depression symptoms. And the part that kills me, most of them never talk about it. They try to handle it alone, just like Faker did. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Perfectionism isn't one thing. Researchers have identified 2 distinct dimensions, and they work completely differently in your brain. First, there's perfectionistic strivings. This is the adaptive, healthy kind. It's about setting high personal standards and pursuing excellence. This activates your brain's reward centers. Your dopamine system is engaged, it drives performance and growth. But then there's perfectionistic concerns. This is the maladaptive, toxic kind. This is the fear of making mistakes, the constant self-criticism, the worry about what others will think. This activates your threat system. Your amygdala is on constant high alert. You're living in a perpetual state of fear. One builds you up, the other tears you down. Now, let's connect this to Carol Dweck's research on mindsets. Dweck found that people tend to operate from one of 2 core beliefs. The first is a fixed mindset, the belief that my abilities are innate. I'm either good at this or I'm not. Failure just proves I'm not good enough. Or a growth mindset. My abilities can be developed. Failure is just information I can use to get better. Here's the neuroscience. When someone with a fixed mindset fails, their brain interprets it as a threat to their identity. Their threat response system lights up, but when someone with a growth mindset fails, their brain interprets it as feedback. As data, the threat response is minimal. This is why some players lose a match and think, okay, what can I learn? While others spiral into shame for days. It's not about being tougher, it's about how your brain is wired to interpret information. So, How does this play out in a real competitive moment? It follows a predictable pattern I call the performance anxiety cycle. You step into the competition buzzing with adrenaline. Lights, noise, pressure, everything feels big, exciting, electric. Part of you thinks, let's go, I can do this. But then the other part kicks in. That perfectionist, fixed mindset voice whispers, what if you mess this up? Suddenly, your brain starts running simulations of failure. Every possible mistake becomes a threat. Your body reacts as if you're in danger. And the moment anxiety takes the wheel, your performance tanks. Your reaction time slows. Your decisions feel heavy, foggy. The kind where you know what to do, but your body won't follow fast enough. You walk away knowing you're better than what you just showed, and that makes it hurt even more. The inner critic jumps in immediately. I choked. I knew it. I'm just not good enough. And just like that, you fall into the shame spiral, replaying the moment over and over. Then, the next competition arrives. You show up more anxious than before. Not because of the challenge itself, but because you're terrified of repeating the same failure, and the cycle tightens. Consider Justin Plup McGrath, a pro Super Smash Bros. Player favored to win EVO 2018. Right before the finals, he had his first ever panic attack on stage. He later wrote, "It's quite disconcerting knowing I could start spazzing out any time I get on stage." That's the cycle in action. One bad moment created a fear of it happening again, which increases the probability that it will. But Plup broke the cycle. He got help, started medication, and talked about it publicly, normalizing mental health in his community. So how do you break it? By reframing failure as data. Instead of, I failed, therefore I'm not good enough, you ask, I failed. What data did that failure give me? What specifically went wrong? What can I adjust? What did I learn? When you do this, failure stops being an identity threat. It becomes a learning opportunity. This is not toxic positivity. This is genuine cognitive reframing. Okay, so if you're dealing with this, here is your practical framework. 1. Recognize the cycle. Just noticing it is half the battle. When you feel that pre-game anxiety or post-game shame, just name it. Okay, so this is the performance anxiety cycle. Labeling your emotional state gives your prefrontal cortex power again. 2. Separate performance from identity. When you lose a match, tell yourself, I did something wrong. That doesn't mean I am wrong. I'm someone who is learning, and this is just data. 3. Prioritize sleep. Grind culture is a lie. 70% of esports players are sleep deprived, and it's directly worsening their mental health. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's a performance-enhancing tool. It calms your threat response system. 4. Build a real support system. Don't try to handle this alone. Talk to teammates, a coach, a therapist. Social support is one of the strongest buffers against mental health issues. You do not have to suffer in silence. Here's where I want to get real with you. I'm a developer, a strength athlete, and now I'm trying to be a content creator. I exist in 3 worlds where perfectionism destroys people. For years, I thought if my code wasn't flawless on the first try, I wasn't good enough. In the gym, I was shaming myself for not being elite yet. And with this channel, I fought the urge to make this first video perfect. But what changed is I started viewing everything as data collection, not identity validation. My code doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be functional and improvable. My fitness progress doesn't have to be elite. It has to be consistent. And this video doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real and, hopefully, valuable to you. When I separated my self-worth from the outcome, everything got better. So if you're watching this, and you're struggling with that voice in your head, I see you, and I want you to know, you are not broken. Your brain is just running a program that isn't serving you, and any program can be rewritten. So, please remember this. Failure is not an indictment. It is data. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.